Happy July. We have a lot happening in the stars, some positive, some negative, and some massively impactful, which specifically happens on July 17th. So in this video, I'm going to cover all the transits that lie ahead for the month of July, as it's the peak of summer and we all have a bunch of energy, probably a bunch of things on our planner or our schedules for fun and more. So find out what is happening in the stars for July so you can navigate this month correctly instead of feeling constantly affected or challenged by the stars. Welcome back to the Be the Hero channel. My name is Isabelle and I help you understand who you are using personality typing and astrology. I was the kind of person who really felt lost when it came to their sense of self, and this led me to feeling lost in my life. Then I discovered astrology, Enneagram, mindfulness, and more, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I knew who I could be. And so now I'm here to help you understand these things so you can understand both yourself and these systems better. Now, before I dive into the astrology of July, hit the link in the description below to get your very own My Horoscope Made Me Do It hoodie. It is the peak of summer, but it's always nice to get these hoodies while they are still available because I will be pulling them soon. So hit the link in the description below to get yours now. July is jam-packed with astrological transits, so as straight up, and there's a lot that you're going to want to know about, specifically something massive happening on July 17th. So I'm going to go through in this video, starting at the beginning of the month, what we're going to be feeling and what we have towards the end of the month. There's a lot happening in the stars, and to kick off the month, we have, first of all, a Capricorn full moon. So if you're watching this at the time of publishing, you are currently feeling the effects of this full moon in the sign of Capricorn at 11 degrees Capricorn, and this inspires us to look at our sense of self-discipline. Not only to look at it, but to realize how much we've stayed in alignment with our self-discipline, and now we are going to be rewarded massively for any discipline we've kept up. The last Capricorn new moon gives us insights into what intentions we set related to our self-discipline, which is towards, I think it was December 23rd, 2022. That was when the Capricorn full new moon was. And now we can reap rewards from those intentions we set now during the Capricorn full moon. This inspires us to realize that not only is there an aspect of self-care that requires allowing ourselves to be nurtured in, stereotypical self-care. Nurture ourselves, take care of ourselves, spend time at home, be easy on ourselves. Capricorn reminds us that there's a realm of self-care that comes with discipline and self-mastery. Forcing ourselves to do hard things or uncomfortable things, whether that's getting out of bed and doing meal prep or forcing ourselves to work out so that we can take care of ourselves. The Capricorn full moon is reaping massive rewards, and it forms positive aspect to Jupiter and Saturn and in Pisces. So Jupiter in Taurus, Saturn in Pisces, which is retrograde. This inspires more self-reflection, more realizations of our needs and our emotional boundaries, and monetary abundance, because Jupiter's in Taurus and it is all about wealth and worth, and so we can feel that we are really grounded in our sense of self-worth during this time, and that we can reap maybe even material gain, especially because this is also a Capricorn full moon, and Capricorn loves abundance. If you want to find out more about the Capricorn full moon, check out all my videos on our channel covering the Capricorn full moon, including the signs that need to watch out during this transit. On July 2nd, which will be tomorrow, we have Venus and Leo forming a square with Uranus and Taurus, and this will be a massive aspect, which usually I would cover in our daily transit videos, but for the sake of an overview, you're going to want to know about this one ahead of time. Venus is in the sign of Leo, and it is currently retrograde. This is inspiring us to reflect on our relationship with play. How do we allow ourselves to have fun, specifically in our relationships and romantic life? Uranus in Taurus is like a lightning bolt, and this can bring unexpected events that shake up our finances or our sense of self-worth. So as Venus in Leo forms a square with Uranus and Taurus, we might feel that there's something unexpected specifically happening with our sense of self-worth. Because Uranus is in Taurus, which is all about self-worth, and Venus is all about wealth and worth, we can feel very insecure today, or at least on July 2nd. On the day of this transit, we can feel extremely triggered in our sense of self-worth, potentially feeling unworthy, maybe even something happening in our money. This could also mean that something happens in our relationships. If you're someone who is in a relationship or is very focused on dating during this time, even if you're single, you might have something unexpected or shake-up coming your way, so be prepared for that. On July 3rd, the Capricorn full moon peaks, and so once the full moon peaks, how I like to think of it is the 3 days before a full moon, we start to notice inklings or indications into what the rewards are going to be now that we reap. We're having realizations about, wow, look at what I've done. There's a time of reflection, not of initiation, reflection. And then when the full moon peaks, that's when we get the trigger point to reap the rewards. And the 3 days after is a time to receive those rewards. So on July 3rd, which is the day the full moon in Capricorn peaks, you will probably notice either financial gain, monetary gain, abundance gains, anything in your material world could be gaining during this time, or just even feeling a sense of reward in your sense of self-discipline and self-mastery. Then, on the 4th of July, we have the gateway open with Sirius. Sirius and the sun form an aspect, and Sirius is known as the spiritual sun. I will admit I do not have a vast knowledge of the Sirius star yet, but I'm working on it. So far, to my understanding, Sirius is the spiritual sun. It's like a higher vibration of the sun's frequency, and it represents very much the spiritual journey. And so when the sun and Sirius form this aspect, there's a gateway open during this time that allows us all to be more energetically charged with vitality and with higher frequency energy. So the day, not only do we have the full moon bringing positive, massive rewards on July 3rd, but the day after, on the 4th of July, we feel massively energized. Sometimes during full moons, we can feel a little bit drained, or especially because of this hard aspect between Venus and Uranus 2 days earlier, we can feel a little tired and unworthy. And now we are being energetically recharged as we have this gateway open. It shines a sense of freedom and higher intelligence down on us, which can be massively impactful, of course, for us all. It makes us feel great. So embrace that energy on July 4th. After that, we have a few day break in the stars before any massive transits come into play. We will, of course, always have aspects in the stars, but the next major transit will be on July 10th, and that is when Mars enters the sign of Virgo. There's been a lot of hard aspects between our Leo placements recently, specifically Venus and Leo, but Mars and Leo has been feeling it a little too. So when Mars moves into Virgo, we can feel quite the shift in energy related to how we want to take action, and it's almost as if we are starting to already wind down a little in the summer, as we usually get caught up in the fun and the play, and we can feel more inspired to be a little practical, or at least a little more practical in how we have fun. When Mars enters Virgo, we are all called to focus more on our tasks, to create routines for ourselves, to keep ourselves healthy. And so on July 10th, when Mars enters Virgo, this is a call to action for us to focus more on our self-care and to make sure we move through life a good amount methodically. That's a strange sentence, I don't know. Mercury in Cancer does not work well for me during this time. We can be more inspired to move through life in a methodical fashion. On July 17th, we have the Cancer new moon. Now, I said in the beginning of this video that something very important is happening on July 17th, but it's not quite this. This will play a role though. On July 17th, we have the Cancer new moon peaking, and so we will feel the effects the 3 days before and the 3 days after. The Cancer new moon inspires us to reset intentions related to how we express emotion, how we feel emotion, and how we nurture ourselves. And in turn, how can we nurture other people? So when the Cancer new moon comes around, we're already feeling the rewards of self-discipline from the Capricorn full moon, and now we're inspired to allow ourselves to receive a little better. Discipline was good, discipline is great, self-responsibility is important, but now how can you allow yourself to be more soft, to be sensitive, embrace the little softy we all have at heart, connect with your inner child, re-parent yourself in many ways. Then, drum roll please, July 17th, the most important aspect you can know that is coming up in the month of July, which is going to be a game changer. The North and South nodes change signs. Mind blowing. This is something I'm extremely passionate about sharing because I believe that the moon and your North and South node are quite possibly the most important aspects you can know in your birth chart. And knowing their transits could be extremely impactful as well. The North and South node have been in Scorpio and in Taurus, specifically North node in Taurus, South node in Scorpio, for quite some time. And as we've had eclipses in these signs as well, we have been feeling massive chapters beginning and ending related to our sense of self-worth and how codependent we are. In the past year or so, throughout the end of 2021 and all of 2022, as the eclipses have been happening with these North and South nodes, we have been called to shift our sense of self-worth and focus on our self-sufficiency in different areas of our life, of course. For some of us, this meant literal financial changes, especially if you're an Aries sun or rising. But for others, it was a call to focus on your finances, in your sense of self-worth, maybe in your career, maybe in your relationships. How independent and sufficient you are. That has been the part of our hero story that has been unfolding for all of us. We moved away massively from codependencies and healed our relationship with intimacy. But now, as the lunar nodes change signs, we can see some massive changes happening for us. The North node will be moving into Aries, and the South node will move into Libra. So for those of us who have Aries or Libra placements, whether that's a lot of planets in the sign of Aries or Libra, or if it's your sun, moon, or rising, you're gonna feel this strongly. And for me, personally, it's gonna be, don't even know if I'm prepared, because my North node and South node are naturally in its home signs in Taurus and Scorpio, and now they're going to be moving into my sun sign. So we're going to see how this plays out. But as the North node moves into Aries, we finally wrap up our chapter related to how self-sufficient we are. However, I do believe I will have to check this fact. I will not admit I know it, but I'm pretty sure we have one more eclipse happening in the sign of Taurus later this year, which will act as an epilogue chapter towards these events. Almost like a reflection on the time the North and South node were in Taurus and Scorpio, saying, hey, look at how good you're doing. And look at how much more reward that can always be received here. Excuse me. But now as the North node moves into Aries and the South node moves into Libra, this chapter, this marks the beginning of a chapter related to our independence and collaboration, aggression and peace, our approach when it comes to first interacting with other people and ourselves. Whereas Taurus and Scorpio axis really represented more of redefining our relationships that are already established, the Aries Libra axis will focus more on our relationship when it comes to first interacting with people. Just like the Libra and Scorpio archetypes represent, Libra is the first zodiac sign where we start to consider the other. Virgo is much more about serving other people, but for self-fulfillment. And Libra is where we start to consider, how can I bring more joy to this person? How can I connect with this person? How can I see from their perspective? Scorpio is where we take those established relationships and say, I want to dive deeper. I want more. How can we create more? How can I give more? Libra is where we become more superficial. So as the South node moves away from Scorpio, which was reflecting and highlighting our relationships, our negative relationships specifically with intimacy and codependency, now we are focusing on what it is we do wrong in our one-on-one collaborations. How do we show up with people wrongly? How are we being pushed around? How are we being too passive? After all, this is the South Node that is in Libra. So those of you who have a Libra rising, buckle up, because you're going to feel a massive identity shift journey beginning. But as the South Node is in Libra, we're called to move away from the peacemaker archetype, the collaborator archetype, and as the North Node is in Aries, we are called to focus on our independence. This is a very interesting aspect we have going, because for some time, Jupiter, since I believe May of 2022, was in Aries. I do think it did go retrograde once to go into Pisces, but when Jupiter entered Aries, we were expanding our sense of independence, aggression, and identity in the positive. And we had the North Node in Taurus, and now that gets flipped. Jupiter is in Taurus, and the North Node is in Aries. So we have some yin-yang support going here, this balance working with us. And as the North Node enters Aries, we are called to focus on our relationship with independence and assertion. So for those of you who have strong Aries placements, you're redefining what it means to be assertive, maybe even taming parts of yourself, or having to learn how to better embrace your already naturally strong traits and use them for the greater good. And if you have strong Libra placements, you're learning that, look, you might have a natural tendency to be very Libra-esque, but this is something you need. Everyone needs a healthy dose of assertion. Gosh, English is a hard language today. And for everyone else in the zodiac, you're going to feel this strongly because, again, the North and South Node represent the chapter that is unfolding for us. It's a step in our hero's journey, a massive milestone. And so on July 17th, when the North and South Node change signs into Aries and Libra, buckle up for your next adventure. It's important to stay open and receptive towards what changes might have to be made during this time. Then on July 21st, we have an aspect, which is the Sun opposing Pluto. The Sun will be in Cancer, and Pluto is retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. And this can feel a bit energy draining during this day because Sun is our vitality and our energy, and Pluto is our self-transformation. It represents death and rebirth. So as the Sun forms an opposition to Pluto, we can feel a little bit conflicted, and we can quite simply put, feel that, gosh, sometimes self-nurturance and self-healing hurts. So if you're feeling triggered on July 21st, if you're feeling exhausted, pained, and wondering when the healing work will be done so that you can finally just feel good and healed, breathe through it as the Sun forms an opposition with Pluto. And you might be even reflecting during this time on your relationship with your mother wounds and your father wounds, relationship with your mother and father, or your authority figures and your motherly figures, because Cancer is the archetype of the mother and Capricorn is the archetype of the father. Today is a great day for healing on July 21st, of course, and this is a great time for us to focus on specifically our parental wounds and healing our relationship with those. You might even be reflecting on how what establishments are put in place, because this is authority again. So what is an authority in your life, and are you that authority? And what is your balance you need between emotional nurturance and emotional discipline? On July 22nd, Leo season begins, which is bringing for fire signs a lot of relief. And for everyone else, this is just simply a shift, because as we've had Cancer season, this is a time for us to reflect on our relationship with nurturance. And after doing so, we all get to step back into the fun and into the play. So during the time where it's Cancer season and Mars is in Virgo, we can feel that we're really taming down during this time, doing the nitty-gritty self-care work. And then when the Sun enters Leo on July 22nd, we are finally becoming more passionate and playful again, of course in a practical manner, since Mars is still in Virgo. So when Leo season begins, it's the time for us to embrace confidence, courage, and play, to have fun, to be center stage. However, Venus is still retrograde here, and so we might feel that we're approaching fun and play from a new perspective, in a new light, as Leo season begins. On July 23rd, we have Chiron going retrograde, which is already interesting enough. Chiron is the archetype of the wounded healer, and when it's in Aries right now, we are called to reflect on our relationship with independence, and we are called to, anytime it makes an aspect, to do more healing. When it goes retrograde, it means simply that we might realize that there's a lot more wounds there than we thought there were. So already when Chiron is direct, it's already challenging enough. But when Chiron goes retrograde, we can feel like, oh boy, there's a lot more work that needs to be done here. I want to feel this especially because I have an Aries sun, but everyone's going to feel it. Everyone feels all the transits. If you have strong Aries placements, or if Chiron is already in Aries in your birth chart, you're going to feel this too. When Chiron goes retrograde, we are called to reflect on our wounds more. Old wounds or new wounds that we didn't realize we had around our independence and assertion are coming up during this time. And so doing work, emotional work around the Aries archetype is going to be very highlighted. Doing self-work and self-healing is going to be an important theme for you, especially because the North Node enters Aries and we're already called to focus on how we embrace the Aries archetype. So as Chiron is retrograde here, which is massive for us, and the North Node is here in Aries, the Aries archetype is just triggered in many ways to change. We have to change our relationship with being an initiator, starting new things, being fearless, being impulsive, being aggressive, being assertive. And finally, on July 27th, we have a little aspect that is we're going to all feel, which is Mercury in Leo conjuncts retrograde Venus in Leo. Because I'm going to have to look when Mercury exactly enters Leo, because I did not include it in this video, but I do not know the specific date where it changes. And so I believe it's July 22nd, but I'm going to have to check for you guys. And if you want to just inform everyone else in the comments below, I appreciate you followers who do that. So hit comment below and let me know if you know when Mercury changes into Leo. But on the day of July 27th, when Mercury is conjunct Venus retrograde in Leo, we can feel that we are triggered in our communication, specifically in love. So if you're someone who is in the dating world, if you're in a relationship, if you are just a living, breathing human being who has romantic desire, you might feel that your ability to communicate in your relationship is accentuated. And we're called to communicate in a more playful way, in an enthusiastic way, to share with our loved ones, to share with others, and to share in our romantic life in a lighthearted way, in a passionate way. But as we feel this conjunction, it can be played out in the negative or the positive. Again, Venus is retrograde, and so we're also called to reflect on our relationship with how playful we are in love and how playful we are in life. And so as Mercury is conjunct Venus retrograde, we can feel that maybe we're putting to practice all the ways that we've already reflected on changing our relationship with the Leo archetype. I see this conjunction as a very beneficial thing. It's possible that it could play out as some tension because a conjunction is very intense, but generally this should be a positive aspect for us that helps us have discussions with our loved ones about our relationship with play. You might be talking with your partner about what play means to you guys during this time and reassessing how you guys want to keep the passion alive in your relationships. That is your summary of everything that is happening in the stars for July. Like I said, July is a jam-packed month, and I know you're already probably trying to close this video, but stay with me here, because not only is July going to be packed, but it's going to affect each of us differently based off of our birth chart. So if you want to learn how these massively impactful transits, these crazy changes, including the North Node and the South Node changing signs, are going to affect you, hit the link in the description below to book a 30-minute reading with me or a 1-hour reading with me, where we can dive deep into how these transits are going to affect you and how you can best brace yourself for the changes that are coming your way. Again, everyone's birth chart is different, and so these transits are going to affect you differently. Not even just that your sun sign is different, but everything in your chart is unique. So you're going to be affected in a unique way. So hit the link in the description below to book a 30-minute or 1-hour reading with me, where we can dive into all the transits or one specific transit that is happening in July and teach you how you can best brace yourself for it and use it to your benefit to manifest good, feel good, or just live in alignment with your chart. Link is in the description below. While you're down there, check out the free birth chart workbook if you have not grabbed it already, and check out the Making Mindfulness Fun bundle where you can access all 30 of our workbooks and courses on astrology, self-development, and more for only $30. That's $1 per course per workbook, and you get exclusive access to workbooks that are unavailable anywhere else, including the Moon Sign Self-Care Workbook, where you can learn and dive deep into your unique moon sign and how you can practice self-care based off of your moon sign, which, again, is one of the 2 most important aspects in your chart. So hit the link in the description below, get the bundle now while it's still available, and get lifetime access to all these workbooks and courses. Thank you guys so much for watching this video all the way through to the end. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay tuned for more astrology updates. Let me know what you want more information on, which transits you want more information on, and I will film a video about them. So let me know in the comments below what you're interested, what transits interest you the most, and what you want to learn more about. Once again, my name is Isabelle, and from my heart to yours, namaste.